Recording in progress.
Good morning. Here we are again. A few weeks ago, we had our monthly chaplain Zoom meeting, and we have chaplains from all over the country that get together once a month and talk about spiritual care and that type of thing. And it got a little bit tense for the first time because one of the chaplains on the call thought that the conversation was getting a little bit too political. And so we ended up having a larger conversation about what is ministry, what is chaplaincy, what is spiritual care, and how does that relate to what is going on in the world or politics? What is that larger umbrella of ministry? And so I've been thinking a lot about it over the last month. And I realize for me, because one of the ideas was, well, what if we just say that this group doesn't talk about certain things? And I know for me, and it started in seminary, I simply can't and don't know how to separate my ministry from what is happening real time in the world. I don't know how to do that. And so, as much as I would love to just stand up here and talk about spiritual principles and what do we pay attention to, which I will talk a little bit about today, I also just don't know how to stand up here and ignore the elephant in the room in order to only talk about spiritual things. So you don't get that from me. Because sticking my head in the sand is not ministry. And so hopefully, if I'm doing my job right, we will end up every Sunday with a little bit of hope, with strength, with courage, due to spiritual principles that I do believe can and do sustain us. But I simply can't do one at the expense of the other. So I can't stand up here today and not acknowledge that I think we very well may be entering into World War III. I listened to the propaganda this morning because I need to know what is being said and what we are being told. And it's interesting, but I don't know if anybody has noticed, if you listen to Fox News or any of the government officials, they keep saying 47. We've been at war for 47 years. You know, the number 47 has other meaning, right? No. Isn't that interesting? I mean, because President 47. Donald Trump is the 47th president. And so they keep saying 47. It may just be a coincidence. I don't know. But I find that interesting. Anyways, so here's what I think I have to say today, is that in regards to what's happening in the world, that we are not the good guys right now. We do not have the moral high ground. I don't think our government knows what they're doing. And I think I kind of understand the end of the story, because never in any of the novels that I read, in any of the Hollywood movies I ever watched growing up as a child, never in any of those were the narcissistic, arrogant, drunk, rapist bullies the ones that won in the end. I'm sorry, they just don't. And in no Hollywood movie I've ever gone to is the rest of the world or the audience meant to cheer for those types of characters. And in Hollywood, the traits that I just described are known as the villains. On the world stage right now, we are acting like the villains. So I don't think we're the good guys. We are not wise, thoughtful, compassionate, loving, ethical, or trustworthy. Those, to me, are the qualities of leadership. Those are the qualities of moral character, moral strength. Those are the qualities that other people want and choose to willingly follow. People want to follow a leader who is wise, thoughtful, compassionate, loving, ethical, and trustworthy. And so without being a political pundit, which I am not, but I can tell you that it's not going to end well for us, and I have to say, nor should it. So what do we do now? I don't think that we're getting accurate news coverage. I don't think really very many of us know what's really going on. And so I've been trying to watch videos from just, TikTok videos and posts from individual people throughout the world who are trying to document what they're seeing, because I think what we are being shown is not accurate. And there was even a CNN segment the other day from Israel, and the correspondent actually said, we're not, she was pointing to some bombs, but she said, we're not allowed to show that. I'm not used, well, maybe I'm naive, but I am not used to that happening in the United States, where we don't actually know what is going on. And so I know most of us in this room are going to say, but Wendy, you can't say we, because I didn't vote for this. And I think most of us in this room probably didn't vote for this. But unfortunately, what is being done right now is being done in our name. So yes, unfortunately, here we are, whether we like it or not. So now what? A few weeks ago, I talked about our need to take the blinders off and to remove those veils that we aren't allowing ourselves to see. And last week, we had a very powerful service with Barb Preston's, and she talked about what's happening in the West Bank, and then we watched the video, No Other Lands. And once again, if you have a policy of callousness and cruelty, it is not sustainable in the long run. Loyalty forced by fear is not loyalty. It's coercion and control. But coercion and control does not last when somebody is only doing what you want them to do out of fear. That is not how you build allies. That is not how you build relationships. That is not how you build partnerships. Spain came out this week and said, we're not going to allow the U.S. military to use our bases. And Trump came back and said, we'll do what we want, we take what we want. And isn't that just exactly the paradigm of what we have right now? that does not win in the long run. Because loyalty, friendship, bond, love comes from commitment. It comes from choice. It comes from love. And when you're with somebody because you choose to be committed, you choose the love, you choose the compassion, you choose the relationship, that becomes a bond. And that becomes the motivating factor. And so right now the United States doesn't have loyalty. We don't deserve anybody else's loyalty. We have other countries making decisions, maybe on our behalf, that may benefit us due to fear of retaliation, but that is not loyalty. That is not sustainability. So I think today we just need to be really clear and see things clearly so that we can make decisions based on reality and not simple naivety or wishful thinking. I think that we are, at least I am in uncharted territory because I've never been a minister at the beginning of a potential World War III, so I'm not sure really what I'm doing, but I'm glad that I'm up here doing it with all of you together. And as I was driving here today thinking about what am I going to say? And I don't know if this is the greatest analogy or not. I've been so optimistic about 2026, I still am, but as I was driving here, I was thinking, if a house is infected with cockroaches, it doesn't matter how pretty the paint color you choose is, right? And if your foundation is infested with termites, your house isn't going to stay structured very long. You're not going to have a strong, beautiful home. And I think that that's kind of what we have right now in our leadership. I think we have some cockroaches, I think we have some termites, and I think we have some cockroaches and termites together. So that is kind of what we're looking at. If you pay attention to that. But in this country, in this world, we also have artists, and we have musicians, and we have beautiful pictures, and we have teachers, and we have knowledge, and we have science, and we have education, and we have critical thinking, and we have commitment, we have compassion, we have joy, we have love, we have loyalty. We have all of that in this country also. And so it does matter what we pay attention to. But it also matters that we don't get fixated just on one thing, right? Because if my whole sermon today was about how I started, we could all leave thinking, oh my gosh, we're doomed. This is horrible. There is no hope. If we only focus on the unhealth of the part of our society. But there is so much else that we can focus on. And it's, I think, about finding that balance between we can't stick our head in the mud anymore and just turn on the Sunday morning talk shows and let ourselves be told what we need to be told so that we can just go on with our day and believe what we're told to believe. Because what we're being told is not accurate, I don't think. So we do have to be willing to dig a little deeper to actually know what's going on so that we know what we're facing, so that we know the extent of what we may need to do to start to bring it and turn the ship and bring it into a different reality. But we also can't just turn our brains off and say, there's no beauty in the world, there's no hope, there's no sunshine. That's not true either. We have spring, we have sunshine right out there, we have buds that are starting to poke up through the ground that are going to become flowers, and we get to focus on that too. And I've shared this before, but I think this is kind of interesting. According to information theory in Encyclopedia Britannica, the human body sends 11 million bits per second to the brain for processing. 11 million bits per second. That is a lot of information coming in. And yet the conscious mind seems to be able to process only about 50 bits per second. So what we pay attention to is what enters into our consciousness. And what Maya was saying, how do we decide what information is going to make it into our conscious awareness? And we do have some control over that. We get to choose what we open our minds to, what we look at, what we let in, what we hold out. And those little details, they do matter. And with 11 million bits per second or whatever, all of us in this room right now are probably in some capacity paying attention to different things, right? We are all in this room right now. We are all listening to my words, but we are all probably hearing different things. We're probably all taking in different things. We're probably all paying a little bit different levels of attention based on what your strengths are. Some of you may be paying attention to the sound. Some may be paying attention to the flame or to the paintings back there or to your stomach thinking you're ready for coffee or thinking that you don't like the smell of coffee or wishing that the door was open because it's a little hot, right? There's so many things we can be paying attention to. And so that is going to be my invitation today, that we, as we move through the next few weeks, the next 3 months, maybe even the next few years, I know for me, I need to start paying attention to what I didn't want to pay attention to because I want to know what's really going on, not what I'm being told, so that I will have the power to respond in the way that I choose to respond and not responding in a way that I respond because I'm being manipulated. So I have to pay attention to that. But then I also am going to have to pay attention to all the beauty around me. Because beauty is more powerful than anger and fear. Love is more powerful than hate. And so there's a symphony that was going on this weekend, that's going on this afternoon. Beautiful music. There are artists. We have beautiful music here. We have compassion, we have love, we have a group of people getting together every Tuesday to think about understanding what it means to center and discipline the mind through the concept of being a yogi in the Bhagavad Gita. We had a group of people here on Wednesday evening saying, as a community, let's create a justice choir. We have good things going on. We have lawyers paying attention to what's happening to our immigrant population that is getting detained by ICE. We have people paying attention, real estate developers paying attention when warehouses are going on the market to possibly be sold to our government, and people are showing up to say, what is that going to be for? So that we're going to pay attention to what goes into this warehouse so that people don't go in and never come out. Because that's happening too. But it's not happening as much as it might be because people are paying attention. So I think I'm just going to end with that today. Some of us may have had some veils, some blindness that we haven't wanted to see because it's easier to not. We might need to be willing to open our eyes and see things that we don't really want to see. And we have to embrace and actively move into paying attention to the things, the principles that sustain us. Because I do like Hollywood. I do like Hollywood movies. And I really like it when the good guys win. So if we want to be the good guys who have compassion, love, strength, loyalty, trustworthiness, we pay attention to that. We become that. We connect with the other people, the millions and millions and millions of people in this world that also want that. And that's who we stand up for. That's who we sing for. That's who we, quote, fight for through our words, through song, through beauty, through love, through art. And that is how I hope we choose to decide that this story ends. So with that, let's sing Standing on the Side of Love.